The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon. Your journey begins now. As you call the path and of the known and unknown, what do we understand? What answers are we trying to achieve? Are there answers? Tonight, we gather to find more verity. Join us as we take the journey into the unknown. This is the Phantasmic Journey Podcast with your hosts, Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. Well, welcome to the Phantasmic Journey Podcast, everyone. I'm Gavin Kelly, and sitting right next to me is my lovely wife, Paula Purcell. How are you today, Paula?
I'm doing good. How's everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. How you doing, Paula? Hi, Paula. I'm doing wonderful, guys.
All righty. Who we have online right now is Joel Meyers. He is a co-producer, the technical wizard, founder of GhostSite.com, and also a partner of Generation Truth. And the other guy we got online is Chris Houston. He is a PTAR, I have no idea what that stands for, radio show host, founder of Generation Truth, producer, director, cinematographer, network marketing guru, Chris Houston. But before we get to talking to you guys, Paula has a few things she wants to go over on her little sheet here. So, what do you got for us?
Well, I've got my bucket full of crap that I always talk about.
Bucket full of crap. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's mine.
Awesome.
So, I don't know if you considered it crap or not, but has anybody remember back in 2015 where we had the asteroid that came close to Earth and it's supposed to look like a Skeletor skull, or they call it the Great Pumpkin asteroid?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, well, it supposedly is going to make its runs again in November, sometime in the early part of November. I don't know exactly the date off the top of my head, but scientists have been studying it, and it's supposed to be a little bit closer this time to Earth compared to what it was the last time, and we're supposed to be able to, if you have a telescope, go out and adventuring and try to find it. It's kind of like us doing the asteroids a couple of months ago, which I didn't get to see the first one, but you kept seeing them.
Do we have to get a hold of Bruce Willis and have them go up to the asteroid and drill?
I don't think so. I think
you don't think so?
I think we're clear on this one.
Oh, okay. Just asking. I was wondering, because you know.
I've got another story, and this is kind of interesting. You've heard a lot of people have stolen and broke into places and have stolen different kinds of things, and there's been some strange stuff that some people have stolen, or they have went into stores and you know, shoplift and everything. Well, this next story is kind of interesting. This happened sometime the week before last.
Okay.
The thieves snatched a shark from the San Antonio Aquarium and wheeled it out in a baby carriage.
My, that's a cute little shark you have there in your stroller. What's his name?
One suspect had been caught, and the shark has made its way back to the aquarium, thank goodness. But it was radioed in that there was a thief with a baby carriage with the shark disappearing, and the shark had a name. The shark was named Miss Helen.
Oh, so it was a female shark.
It was a female shark. So he stolen a female shark. A 911 call center. It was kind of funny because when the aquarium first called in, they said that they had gotten a kidnapper had kidnapped their female shark, and the 911 center at first didn't believe the phone call and hung up on the person at the aquarium.
Well, yeah, I would hang up too.
They had to make 3 attempts to the 911 center. They finally got the supervisor or the head honcho of the aquarium to call back at 911 and express who he was, and that there is a true theft of someone had came in and had gotten into the aquarium where the sharks were and stole Miss Helen.
Baby shark, doo 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 doo. Baby shark. Oh, sorry. Song stuck in my head. Mama shark. Oh.
But that was an interesting kind of catch. But everybody's back. Miss Helen is in. They have her in a 30-day quarantine tank because they don't know if her kidnappers gave her a rare disease or not.
She got sharkentitis.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
But anyway, they've got her off. So that was an interesting story. I have seen quite a few, things of being stolen or broken into. Like, there was a story back 2 or 3 years ago where a guy broken into an adult bookstore and cleaned them out. Why, I don't know and don't really want to know, but...
And he left sticky footprints, too.
Oh, it was interesting.
Kind of reminds me of watching Magnum P.I. a couple nights ago. Someone stole 130-pound tuna. That's worth close to $350,000? Yeah, that's a big fish.
Well, talking about stealing, I got one more story for you, and then we'll proceed on.
Okay. I'm trying to get my laptop up here so I can pull my chat up.
Well, here's the punchline. I'm going to give you the punchline first, and then let you think about it.
I don't like to think about it.
A Texas man has been sentenced to 50 years for stealing $1.2 million worth of fajitas.
How do you steal fajitas? Go to a Mexican restaurant and when they're not looking, go get them?
No, the story goes on about there was a man that was working in a juvenile detention center in Texas, and he had been there for years and working. And deal is their numbers, they have to itemize and pre-prioritize everything because they're on a budget. Well, things kept getting missing. They were short on meat. They were short on taco shells or fajita shells or tortillas or whatever you call them. And so...
yeah, tortillas.
Well, after a 10-year, figuring this all out, they finally figured out that this man who was not their main chef, but their assistant, had been slowly stealing about a couple of pounds of hamburger meat a week and some tortillas and cheese and a couple of fixings for the fajitas, and so he ended up having a net worth of $1.2 million worth of fajitas, and it cost him to have 50 years in jail in Texas.
That's a crappy way to go.
Well, I'm thinking here going, he got 50 years in Texas for stealing some taco meat, and I'm over here going, there's like worst case scenarios going on in the United States, but that man got 50 years for stealing some taco meat.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on our Phantasmic Journey podcast. If you are jumping in right now, go directly to my Facebook page and click on the link. It'll take you directly to the main page where you can see all of the previous guests that we've had on the show. Also, if you click on the chat icon, it will enable you to go to the chat room. And once in there, just click on the headphones once again, and you will be able to hear us as well as chat with us at the same time. I do apologize for last week. We were unable to do that at the time. That was our first show, so of course there's going to be some quirkiness, and we have to resolve a few technical difficulties, but this time I believe we got everything going. It's in tip-top shape, and I believe everything is going to go smooth. So as I stated, we do have Christopher Houston and Joel Meyers on the line. And how are we doing tonight, guys?
Perfect. How you doing?
Life out as usual.
How you doing? Yeah, it sounded like Joey. Sound like Joey back there. How you doing? What's up? Yeah. Oh man. So Joel, what do you got going on lately? I haven't seen you online for like forever. You like disappeared for a while.
Oh, I am in what they call mad scientist mode. I'm down here in my mad scientist outfit, as you can only picture, in my mad scientist room, coming up with some new things.
Are we picturing a white straitjacket? I said, are we picturing a white straitjacket?
Dude, he's got, we've got his whole Einstein hat that he puts on, and he's got a long jacket.
Oh, wow. Welcome to my lair. Yeah. Oh, wow.
The only thing I'm missing is those, what do they call them, the steampunk goggles?
I was just about to say goggles.
A pair of those.
Yeah, I was just about to say goggles. That was like on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I think a lot of my stuff that I've come up with lately is only going to be about 95% complete without them goggles. So I need to come up with a pair.
There you go. So what snazzy devices are you coming up with? I mean, I've seen some of them, and they are phenomenal from what I've seen. And the rigs that you're coming up with are just totally cool. I mean, we have two of them. We've used them at numerous locations, and I tell you what, those ghost site rigs really do help us tremendously for allowing us to add most of our peripherals to it, such as a digital recorder or deadlight, 4K camera, if we need to add additional IR lighting. I mean, it is just suited for us, and it works awesome, especially the new feature you added to it where you can actually put your cell phone on there and you can do Facebook Live. So I love that part.
Yeah, as soon as we get an investigation together, I've got a goodie box again for you, and we'll do some upgrading of those rigs.
Oh, awesome. I look forward to it.
Wait until you see the film rigs, Gavin. You haven't seen anything yet. We have new rigs where they're shoulder mounted. We're going to put some latches on them eventually, or rather Joel's going to put some latches on them to make it a little bit more comfortable. They're very sturdy. You can put professional cameras on there. I mean, it's high-grade stuff, man. We've been doing some real good work with it.
Is it still going to be 3D printed, or is it going to be molded?
I think I've narrowed it down to probably about 40% of the rig now is going to be 3D printed, because I had some problems with the, we'll call them the GoPro mounts, the mounting accessories. They snapped the ears off them really easily, which I knew was going to happen with that filament. It was just kind of the prototype stages.
Right.
So I'd switched over to a plastic injection molded piece, which is completely phenomenal when it comes to the upgrade. I've tried to bust off the ears. They hold up a lot better than the 3D printed filament style mount. So upgrades there. As Chris noted, that you're going to have a shoulder strap mount that mounts to either shoulder or chest. I'm working a little bit into a hands-free setup to where you don't even have to hold the rig no longer. You just let it kind of hang there, and it points to wherever your body points. So that frees up the hands for a recorder or anything else you choose to hold on to.
Right.
And kind of turns you into that efficient investigator where you don't have to run back to home base and grab something that you forgot or that you need or you couldn't hold on to.
You're talking about me, aren't you?
I possibly could be. There's quite a bit of video with us going back to home base, so maybe that's where I got the idea.
Yeah. Only thing is your shoulder rig that you're talking about, is it basically going to be for consumer camcorders? Because I highly doubt you're going to be able to put maybe the Ursa. That is at least 12 pounds. that will definitely
Well,
push you forward unless you have a counterweight on the back.
Ursa's going to have to be mounted to my new Invention, which has track wheels, and that's about as far as I'm going to go on that Invention. But just think track wheels.
Like a dolly or a slider.
It is Ursa mountable, and we'll have something called a remote control. Think about it.
Oh, cool.
That'd be cool.
Kind of similar to what I put together at OSR in the kitchen, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Something like that, but with tracks, and it has a pivot point to climb stairs and go in any tough terrain that you can actually think of, some caves and such like that. I come up with kind of the idea because there's a few we'll call the Underground Railroad caves that most humans can no longer fit in because of the cave-ins and the dangerous terrain that they've blocked off from us going in. But they have not blocked off the electronic devices from going in. So I'd like to get a scoop on the Underground Railroad sections that hasn't been seen in many, many, many moons. So this device will be able to give you your eyes and ears in those tunnels that we can't go in ourselves.
Oh, that sounds cool. Sounds like you're building a robot with treads.
Could be.
We've been actually looking.
Let's find out what.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd say the past 8 months, I've kind of steered my focus more towards the Watchtower. I know we've discussed that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I've sent little snippets out on Facebook, but the Watchtower has been my main focus, getting it right. Of course, I don't like to shove a prototype out there unless things are just perfect. I'm kind of anal when it comes to things being right. And, you know, even before the pre-prototype shove out to the public for people to try out, I like to perfect it myself. That way, when it gets to you, there's less perfection to be done out in the field. So I do love to hear the negatives of all the products I build, the pros, the cons, everything. I encourage folks not to hold back when it comes to things that'll possibly make me cry or get me upset, because I love to hear the negatives when it comes. It makes me innovate even more and come up with better ideas on the negatives. So please give me the negatives as well as the positives.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, we'll basically put it through a thorough test. I mean, you've seen how we always go ahead and test most of our devices that we get from designers and creators. I mean, we put them through a vigorous test. Sometimes a rugged test to test the durability, like when we accidentally dropped the REM pods, 2 of them. That was a lot of fun, but they still work. I think that was at OSR, too. So,
well, you mentioned something a little bit earlier that I'm going to actually jump into a little bit.
Okay.
Just because you mentioned that Joel was offline, and of course I avoided social media for quite a while. The reason behind that, so that everybody knows, is not really an offense against any people on social media, but social media can be a very drastic place. And with Generation Truth developing, with the avenues and aspects that we were putting together, which I'll cover a little bit of tonight somewhere along the line, it became almost inevitable that at the moment, releasing too much information over social media was going to cause 2 situations to happen. Situation number 1, relatively put, is going to be you're going to have a lot of people that are going to bring out some negative lights. And one of the things that Generation Truth is about is not concentrating on the negatives, but concentrating on the positives to succeed in not only life, but to succeed in business and to succeed in the paranormal and everything that we do.
Right.
And the second thing, when you're creating any type of media, when you're planning on putting this and releasing this out to the public, you can only tell people so much. If I were to inform you on everything that we do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there's really no sense in you tuning in and watching. So we toned back on a lot of social media, and we walked away from a lot of things for both of those and anything more drastic, like a lot of people wanted to make sense of. Just to get that out there so everybody understands.
I gotcha. That makes sense. I do agree with that, and of course, You know, we've all have been dealing with a lot of issues that have been going on, primarily haters that want to step on us when we're trying to exceed and do the best that we can. So sometimes we do have to kind of tend and hide back in the shadows, unfortunately. So, yeah, I do understand that, because, you know, I kind of, you've seen from my posts and stuff, I have actually kind of toned back on, excuse me, on things dealing with paranormal. I've mostly been working on just the radio show. So I've kind of toned down on my paranormal stuff. I used to post all the time, tell people where we were going, what we were doing. And, I mean, the haters just got so crazy. It just got to the point, it's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to hide in the shadows and forget it for a while until it all dies down.
Right.
We try to keep very, very positive in everything that we do. Joel and I have a great relationship working together. The other people that work with the team, including yourself and Paula from time to time that work with the team, you know, we're really picky on the people that we work with, because positive notion and working together as a team, collective information together and producing something that really matters with that passion, that's what we're all in it for. That's what we really strive for. Yep. I mean, it's great to make the money. It's great if you can make money. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can. But let's be honest here. The goal is, regardless of what you're doing, whether it be marketing, whether it be business, whether it be working, whether it be creating a paranormal TV show or being in the paranormal, you're fooling yourself if you're not trying to make money at it, because that's just the way the world works. So why do that in a negative note? Create it in a positive note. You can give back to the community. You can do everything that you want to do. You can help the other people that are positive as well, the other teams, the other places, the other locations. You can do all of this while encouraging people, making money, and enjoying what you do, as opposed to concentrating on the negative. So that's really what we try to do as a team and as people.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree. We just basically go out there and do what we love. It's our passion, and we're trying not to let anybody, you know, take us down. But I mean, unfortunately, there are those times when you just have to step back and just let the idiots fall on their face.
That's very true. You know, coming into this with a music background and a band, you know, there was social media. You get online and you get your music put out there online, and everybody loves it. They see you at the concerts and they cheer you on and they love it. And, you know, they just love hanging out with you. And, you know, it was a great environment to be involved with, you know, and having many, many years of paranormal experience and coming in as a newbie into the field, trying to learn all I can to gain more respect of the paranormal field. It seems like it's a lot harder coming in to the paranormal field as it is the music industry. The music industry is a little bit more forgiving. There are battles against my music's better than your music.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of almost I don't know. It's a little. I come to a roadblock to where, you know, do I really want to? I have an electrical background, engineering. Went to school to be an electrician, so I have a little bit of low voltage and electronics engineering background. So I thought, you know, I'm going to put this to good use and start creating things that are a little bit outside of the box.
Right.
And when I get to, I'm around other inventors or folks coming up with other ideas, it seems to be a little bit of a, no, that's mine. You can't see it. You know, this is me. Your stuff is, you know, crap compared to mine. And
yep.
I've been running into that quite a bit, to where I didn't know if I even want to be involved in something like this. And then I started meeting great people. You know, you guys, being on the road with you guys was great. Mr. Josh Bender with the Deadlight, such an awesome man. And, you know, there is a place for me in this field. You just kind of got to block out the naysayers, you know, and I don't put any other devices down. If you want to invent something, come up with something new, I applaud that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that coming from somebody. But if you want to invent something new and then you just want to hold on to it, and it's, you know, like it's mine, it's all mine. It's that right there, to me, is not sharing with the public. It's, you know, this was my idea. You know, no one else has come up with it. You know, it's just, it's kind of like the hate that it's adult bullying in a way, and you see it all the time on social media. So I had to step back quite a bit so I can focus on the real cause, the real reasoning behind me being involved with this as an inventor.
Yeah, but
and it's helped quite a bit.
Yeah, the only problem is I agree with that to an extent, because here's the deal. If you do share your, the people that you're talking about that go ahead and they want to, it's mine. I'm the designer. I'm the creator. It's mine. Nobody can have it. If you actually do share your idea with folks, here's the thing that I run into. Right now, you're kind of like at a level, You got your low, mid, high, okay? We're in the mid. This person that has their own thingy, they're going to be in the high. They take your idea, they add a few things to it. Next thing you know, they have the same device you do with just a few modifications, but they have a larger following, and they're going to be more popular with that device than you were, since you were the original creator. That happens a lot.
And I think it already
from
has
a marketing
with me,
background, I can certainly understand the concerns there. But I also know how to combat that a little bit.
Step back a little bit.
Here's the reality of social media. Social media has both positive and negative things.
Oh, yeah.
And the reality is, lately, sometimes on social media, as a professor I'm actually going to have on my show, you mentioned you don't know what paranormal truth and reality is. Ladies and gentlemen, just so that you know, it's PTAR stands for Paranormal Truth and Reality. It's a #1 show on BBS Radio. BBS Radio, just to point out, Donald Bear is one of the largest digital radio stations in the United States of America. I'm on every Friday. This professor that's going to be coming on in December, I do encourage everybody to listen to. He's actually developing a series of papers that he's putting into the medical industry. And what it is called is the undiagnosed disease of social media. There is actually a bullying aspect to what a lot of people do. And generally, when I'm talking to new people into the paranormal, since I've been around many, many teams throughout the years and followed many, many paths, and I said this to Joel coming in, I told them to be aware there's a lot of very good people, very educated people that have been in the paranormal for many, many years. And they're very positive and good people to be around. But you're going to find the other side, too. So prepare yourself when you come in. Unfortunately, we have developed a likeness to where we spend more time behind a computer screen than we do in front of people, and that has reduced some of the things that we're used to doing. One of those things is compassion and emotion. We will say things on a screen that we would never say to a person to their face.
Exactly, yeah.
And those are things that we really should think about when we're out there. The reality is, could you steal something from somebody that shares it to you? Well, in the business world, I get that all the time. How do you compete with that? Well, most people do it logically. If you steal something from, let's say, Joel, just so that you're aware, every bit of Joel's devices have been copyrighted. They're being registered to be patented and so forth. So take one little item and put that on there, and I'm going to shut you down.
Right.
I don't have to argue about it on Facebook. I don't have to bother with all the social media things. Hey, that's what I pay 6 lawyers for.
Right.
So the reality is, all of the bullying and all of the fighting and all of the arguing, where does it really get us?
Nowhere.
Well, in the long run, as people notice by sitting around and watching me, if you ever do, it only gets the people that do it shown how silly they look. Is everybody still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I was switching my hat. What, did I hit the microphone?
Yeah,
well, everything went dead there for a minute. So,
oh, okay.
But I just wanted to address that a little bit. I don't want to stay on a negative note, though. I want to get back into this a little bit because we have been working on quite a lot of things here.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things we began our project with, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, which is why we're on the podcast now, was Paranormal Journeys into the Unknown. Our first, what was it, 3, 4, maybe more locations was with you guys.
I think it was about 4.
Yeah, and we learned quite a lot off of Gavin. In fact, I learned the one key major thing. Though you think you're not going to do it, you always bring more than you.
Yeah, and you learned all my bad habits too, didn't you?
Right.
Well, my
nearly as advanced as we are, but we bring a lot of gear with us.
Well, the main reason why I bring a lot of gear is here's the deal. All right, you're there, you're about to take this shot, and you're like, you know what? That would look really good if I had a slider. Dang it, I left it home. Or, that would be, my drone doesn't work. I'm going to have to use a jib. Oh, darn it, the jib's at home too. I bring it all just in case. That's the reason why I do it.
Well, I kind of learned that quote based off of you and the experiences I had with you. All the equipment that you bring, it's better to have it, not need it, than better than need it, not have it.
Right.
And that is the most famous quote, and that just goes to show why you bring everything with you.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to think about it. I mean, sure, less is best, but I don't agree with that because, okay, you're doing this, you're doing the show. You're at a location. Everything's going great. You just got done unloading. You just got done doing the interview. The B-rolls are getting shot, but you want to get your drone up in the air. Somehow or another, you're, I don't know, a mile away and there's an airport. Guess what? Drone ain't going to fly. So you want to get some good shots that kind of look like aerial. So what are you going to do? Use a 20-foot jib. Oh, well, crap, that's at home. I should have brought it. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. That happened to us once. And I learned from that mistake, and I always bring it. I mean, good God, Joe would complain left and right. It's like, dude, why do you bring so much crap? And I told him, I go, this is the reason why. And he's like, I don't know. Less is best. I'm like, yeah, you'll see sooner or later when it comes time for, like, well, him, for example, he's only using his Sony. He don't have a drone anymore, so he can't really get any aerial footage anymore. All he has is his Sony. Now, if he had a jib, he might be able to do some over-the-head stuff, but he can't. He has to work with what he has. I mean, less is best for him. All it is a camera.
So how did you feel being at Waverly Hills Sanatorium with absolutely nothing?
Oh, God, it killed me. It killed me. I tried to load up my vest with every frickin' thing I could, every single device, batteries, SD cards. I carried, I believe I had 2 cameras on me. Did I carry 2 cameras with me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I carried 2 cameras with me. And
when I say absolutely nothing, that really means in paranormal world you have more that day with nothing than most investigators have all the time.
Right.
So the little bit that you did bring was nothing compared to what you used to bring.
Right. Well, at least I had my drone. I was happy. That was my main thing. I wanted aerial footage of Waverly Hills. So, but here's the deal. I didn't have to bring all the stuff for interviews because, well, we weren't going to do any. If we're going to do any interviews, we'll just do them with the cameras in infrared. It kind of good for the time. If I would have had to bring all that stuff, we would have probably cut down on our time because we were stuck on time restraints. So that's the main problem too. If we had Waverly from noon on Saturday until 8 a.m. on Sunday, oh yeah, there would have been a trailer there. Trust me.
Right.
So kind of like what we did at OSR. We took over his kitchen, then we took over the break room.
I love that one.
Oh, yeah. And we did the same thing at Post Town. We took over his entire break room. It was covered.
We have phenomenal pictures somewhere along the line that we'll release when we're putting together things. That it literally, for the listeners that replay this and the ones that are listening, it literally, Gavin's equipment covered virtually all of OSR's cafeteria, and you could barely walk around in Post Town.
Oh, gosh, don't you should see the pictures when we took over 101 in Winchester, Indiana, the location that Rowana owns. We took all the booths and the floor. Oh, yeah, she was just like, oh, my God, do you use all that? I go, I might.
Nope.
So after we left you, Generation Truth went through many, many, many different changes. We started filming just teams, and we realized that there there was a lot than just teams, and there were complications with just filming teams. I would say about 15 teams applied for filming. Out of the 15, we signed about 5, and we filmed at, I think, 3 of those, Joel, or was it 4? I can't even remember now.
It was 3 or 4.
And then decided, 3 or 4, and then we decided to move on a little bit because there's a lot of stories to be told. In addition to actually doing that, we wanted to build an aspect that's a little bit different than what people in the paranormal world are used to right now. Right now, just so that the listeners know, and any of the teams that are out there are going to agree with this, right now it's an all for all and not an all for one and one for all. You go out, you do everything yourself, you look for everything yourself, you research the history yourself, you try to figure out how to put together videos yourself. You very rarely have guidance on how to do that. You don't have a portal to discuss that with other people. You don't have a way to advertise yourself.
Right.
You don't have a way to purchase equipment in one centralized area. You don't have anything but yourself. So as a part of Generation Truth, a part of our idealism was being able to put something together where people could do all of that. So that if you're starting or if you're not starting, you have access to many, many people you may not have had access to before.
Right.
From locations at possibly discounted prices, because I've worked out a lot of things, to agents, if you need an agent, to additional production companies, because a lot of you guys are very professional production companies that can make money on your own, but nobody ever comes to you. And vice versa. There are people out there that want to put together a wonderful show. They have no idea how to produce it. They have no idea how to edit it. They have no idea how to work with it. And they think people are going to charge them hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. Most of these production companies don't do that.
No.
They work with us, and they do it at low cost. And they make a little bit of money off of it. You make a great show. It's a win-win situation, and we put you both together.
Right.
Radio is the same way. We're creating a radio network, which we're broadcasting on right now. WCGT Radio Live, which actually is on a sub-site right now, but will be connected shortly to WCGT Radio Live so that you can go directly there. We've worked out a talk show format to have talk show hosts come on and discuss things on a regular basis. We're interviewing proper talk shows and designing some on our own. We've got a wonderful equipment line with GhostSite.com that Joel's consistently working on a regular basis. And we've met some very excellent people as a film crew. So although we're putting together our own documentaries, we're also going out and filming for other people. This helps you guys because now you have an external film crew. You don't have to worry about getting all of those shots. That's our job to do for you. We get credit for it. It's a win-win situation. So there's a lot of rolling aspects in one avenue as opposed to people going out and not working together. And that's the ultimate goal with Generation Truth. We want those people serious that are willing to learn and willing to grow and willing to understand the real paranormal working together. Do you want to add anything to that, Joel?
Well, I think you pretty much covered everything. Coming in, I just wanted to add a little bit real quick on the GhostSite.com. It is still in the construction phases. I had to revamp quite a bit with a lot of the other equipment inventions that I come up with. It's no longer just the Silent Night rig. It's a lot of other equipment builds. So it's kind of time I needed a website. I know I've told everybody it's coming, but being the mad scientist down in the mad scientist room, you just kind of tend to block out the whole website building phase, and you're just so focused on building equipment. So that is coming soon. It isn't up and running yet. It's actually parked at GoDaddy.com. I have obtained, GhostSite.com, and it will be up and running. So, and
we're actually
with GhostSite.com, it got to the point where...
Hang on, Chris. Joel's talking. You can't go over each other. Otherwise, it sounds like it's all muffled. Yeah.
I was going to say, with coming into the field, I noticed that there's a lot of equipment pieces out there for, everything you can ever think of finding paranormal. But, coming in with two young boys and a wife and a mortgage and, not a lot of extra money to spend on equipment.
Right.
And with an engineering background, I started creating things on my own at a cheaper cost. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to actually push it forward to the public and come up with some innovative stuff that I can actually offer for a decent price. So, not that everything out there is so expensive and way too expensive for you to purchase, but I'd like to get that cost down quite a bit more to get the lower end paranormal newbies out there, or even the ones that has been around for many, many years that still can't afford the high-tech stuff. I like to come up with stuff that's a little bit more manageable when it comes to the pocketbook.
Right, and also having a 3D printer, that's a major plus in your favor.
Right. Actually got the second one coming in.
Oh, wow.
And possibly a third one I'm going to try out.
Oh, wow. What brand is it?
The Creative CRT10, the CRT10 Reality.
Okay.
It's got a bigger build platform, and what my idea is, because the Silent Night rig comes in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It comes in 7 pieces I have to manually put together,
right.
Piece by piece. With the CRT10, it has a big enough platform where I can print that whole rig in one piece, one solid piece. The only thing that I've got to come up with, which can be done, is stop at a certain section so I can switch colors, because right now I do a 2-color phase. So I have to stop at midsection, change the color out, or there's also another 3D printer out there that actually does it for you. You tell it when to switch colors, and it switches over to a new reel.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of those. I saw a 4-color one. I was just like, oh, I want that.
Right. There's all kind of things I want, but baby steps, right?
Yeah, exactly. Paula, you have anything to say? You're just sitting over there on your cell phone. Oh, wow. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears here and jump to OSR. Got to tell you something that's really bizarre and crazy. Remember when Joe and I climbed up that pallet to get up into that tunnel up there?
Uh-huh.
All right. You guys took off, and my one camera was facing the pallet and also the top of the tunnel, or the crawl space, or whatever the heck it was, yeah. And then I had a camera on me, and I'm with Joe inside the crawl space. Well, I was watching it, and I can hear you guys walking around, and then you guys disappeared, so I have no idea where you went. And all of a sudden, I saw a raccoon show up, walked across the front of the ledge above the pallet, and just moseyed on back where me and Joe was. And when Paula frantically jumped on the radio and said that she sees an apparition and 5 people are witnessing an apparition on the DVR system, that raccoon hightailed on out of there and ran back the same direction he came, but went inside the walls. I saw that on the footage. I'm like, holy shit, you mean that thing was actually coming back towards us? What could we have done if a raccoon would have shown up? So that was kind of awesome. Crazy. Yeah. So that wow, that's all I got to say is wow. So it's very well possible what you were hearing.
I know it's. I was going to say it's probably a big secret, but is footage like that going to end up on the show, or
oh yeah,
will we see that edited out?
Oh no, that's going to be on there. That's going to be on there.
I'd like to follow up with you on that a little bit, because we had an experience at OSR too, and part of the videos that we're putting together is showing people the differences between what can be assumed as paranormal activity and what is paranormal activity.
Mm-hmm.
We actually revisited your location that you were in just to see if we could get repeated activity. Now, we did get some unique results on a couple of applications that were very interesting, but we also saw a couple of other things, and that raccoon actually explained some of the things that you can pick up in that area.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
So it'd be interesting to put that together as a follow-up somewhere along the line.
Yeah, because when he went scurrying, I could actually hear his feet. So, and I swear, from in the distance, I can hear, did you hear that? It sounds like somebody's scratching or something like that. I think it was Joel saying something about scratching. And that was the raccoon coming back across the thing to get into the wall. Because that's when we were coming out. Huh?
Some things can be explained. You just got to view your footage. The hours of footage that you get on site, you got to go back and you got to hit the review room to find out what is paranormal and what is not.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that just totally flipped me out. But here's the deal. We scurried on out of there. We all took off back to the break room, and Paula was like, yeah, there's an apparition. How big was this apparition that you saw? Remember?
Well, I mean, it was like almost a human-sized form.
When it was on the DVR screen, right?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know how to explain it.
Was it the same issue that happened to us at Malvern Manor?
A little different.
Okay. But he did show up on the screen, but when I ran the DVR footage back, nothing there.
Yeah, but yet everybody saw it.
Exactly. That's basically almost the same thing as Malvern Manor.
Yeah.
You had a shadow show up on your cell phone while we were inside that showed a shadow person was rummaging over my table.
On my phone while we're looking at DVR. Yeah, it's just one of those
so
deals.
It's basically the same thing. So this is what's really bizarre and weird. We're trying to figure this one out. I guess there is a possibility that these entities can actually take form on your screen, but not be recorded. Have you guys ever encountered anything like that? Or is it just us?
Or it got recorded and we were not allowed to use it, and we were not allowed to leave with the footage.
Well, yeah, they already know about that.
Not really to date with the camera work that we've done. I have been with teams setting up equipment before and got some ironic things. Not necessarily on the camera, but you're setting up cameras for other people. You're setting up stationary cameras somewhere, and then you answer your cell phone, happen to be talking to somebody on a video image, and then them state there's something right behind you. Well, I've got a camera already running to test. The camera doesn't pick up anything, but somebody's seen it. Now, I wish I could record that at the time, because you know how live conversations are when you're video conferencing. It's not really recorded.
Right.
But not really from what we've seen. A lot of times, as I like to tell people, you know, paranormal investigators get the wrong idea a lot of times when it comes to cameras. A long time ago, cameras were set up to record evidence, and they were stationary everywhere, and they didn't follow us around. But when we started to get to night vision, we started to do ghost hunters, we started to do ghost adventures and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't realize is most of the time you're doing a night vision camera to film yourself. And if you get something, that's great.
Right.
Well, if you think about it, most of these ghosts probably aren't going to be on the camera anyway, because we're concentrating on our reactions, on our equipment, on our stuff to put together a good show. So a lot of times we don't really capture a lot video-wise. Now, we were just out at Octagon Hall, and quite by accident, which is when most of the time it happens when you're trying to set up just to catch certain things, we got a 100% Class A EVP around the board.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't had one of those in a good 5 or 6 years, but we're actually going to put that together for the audience to see somewhere along the line. But that was very, very amazing. I mean, it was crystal clear.
Huh. Yeah, we need to go on and get out to Octagon Hall. We have been invited 3 freaking times and had to decline them due to, you know, family issues, double booking, having to be out of state. So hopefully next year, maybe we'll get to go to Octagon Hall. I'm hoping. Everybody keeps telling us you need to go there. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. So we'll see.
Well, that place, it is one to remember. That is for sure. I will never forget Octagon Hall. That is for sure.
It's a fairly small place, is it not?
It is.
But it's a very large area when you take into effect that you have outside, you have the slave cemetery, you have the slave quarters, the cooking area for the slaves, you have the basement, you have the first floor, you have the second floor. So really it kind of, you can send a 12-person team split up and still not get a whole lot of contamination as long as you're far enough away.
Even if someone is on the
area.
first floor and one's on the second floor?
No, we wouldn't do that. We played it to where we have, if say we had 10, we had 5 out at the graveyard, which is a ways away,
yeah.
and 5 taking over the whole house. You
I
either
gotcha.
go upstairs to the attic or down the basement. It doesn't matter. Then we do a switch. The other team gets to go out to the graveyard, the slave quarters, or the barns, and the other team inside. So that way you don't get a whole lot of contamination.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. That's kind of similar to what we were trying to do at Waverly, where we had one team on the first floor and another team up on the third floor.
Right.
Of course,
It also doesn't account for the fact that because of what happened there when you research the history, and because of the way the early Civil War and the early armies would work, the house was a command center, which means that most of the team, the soldiers and so forth, would have camped way back in the fields. So though we didn't do that this time, the next time we go out, a percentage of the team is actually going to be spending time out in the field, which is away from the home, but I would almost guarantee there's going to be activity there because that's where your soldiers lived.
right.
Yeah, I mean you gotta think too. We'll just call it like a 3 to 5 acre property, and the numbers could be bigger, could be smaller. But we were told 8,000 soldiers. Could you imagine 8,000 soldiers all crammed on a 3 to 5 acre property? Well, it's going to take a good 10, 15 acres to be comfortable with that many soldiers. So it expands even way past the home itself.
Okay. I was kind of wondering about that because I've had a lot of people go there. You guys went there. Sammy was there. She's currently playing in a movie with us, and she was there with you guys. So I was just like, okay, well that's cool. So she was supposed to tell me all about it when she came to our production meeting on Monday, but I guess she forgot.
No, she's got a lot to tell, so you got to hit her up on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was amazing that. When she got scratched at Waverly Hills.
Right.
I mean, dang, we were just getting all the activity at Waverly Hills. It was just unbelievul.
Well, next time
We
you
had
see
an
her here
incident
from
with her
Sammy,
that was
ask
very
her about
unique
the
that
book.
revolved around a book. So if you get a chance to talk to her about it, ask her about the book.
Okay, what were you saying, Joel?
Same thing. Chris was just saying the same thing I was. Ask her about the book.
Okay, I will go ahead and do that. Let's see. What were the other places that we actually did? We did OSR. We did Post Town. What was the deal with Post Town when we were in the doll room and you were? We weren't really filming, but we were getting activity with that one REM pod with the laser in the hallway. What do you remember about that?
That was
the
actually
one thing I
a
did
reflection.
remember is
REM
I
pod
think
was
Chris was
bouncing
with
off of
me
the IR light.
in the hall. And
Hang on, guys.
It kept going off.
When I need to have one person at a time talk. When you both talk, oh dear God, it's like, oh my, wow. Okay, go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, that's the thing, that we can't hear each other talking.
Right.
But no, I think Chris was with me in that hall, and it kept going off. And one test that I don't think we 100% proved or disproved was the IR light that Daryl has up was somehow affecting that REM pod, because every time we'd step in front of that IR or block it off or point it to a different location, it wouldn't go off. And as soon as we got it in eye's view of that IR light, somehow that REM pod was going off again. So there's some direct correlation with an IR light to a REM pod that I haven't even dove into to figure out.
Huh, that's weird. The thing is that REM pod with the laser on it is a motion 360. It has nothing to do with IR.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you're dealing with a laser and a laser shoots out, a laser bounces off of a laser. IR cameras actually use a physical laser to mark and shoot. So if that laser is bouncing off the REM pod's IR laser, you've automatically got a response. Now, We moved the camera, didn't get a response. We stood in front of the camera, didn't get a response. I took my hand and blocked the camera. We didn't get a response. Remove it, and almost instantly you got a response. So I'm betting you've got one laser bouncing off of another laser, and then automatically the REM pod is assuming something is directly in contact with it. So now you're getting the response.
Well, one thing I was actually thinking it was, but I didn't say anything till when I started watching the footage. It's very well possible the laser was actually hitting something on the wall and it was bouncing back. Something on the wall was kind of reflective. It kind of acted like a mirror. So it was bouncing back.
Right. It was called an emotion
well.
effect. Something was bouncing on something.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if it did it all the way around 360, wherever we moved it,
right,
and it was going off, then that would be pretty unexplainable. And it still is in a way until further tests are done. But
right.
There's something to do with a bounce effect, creating a sort of a motion effect, setting it off.
Exactly. But, of course, during that time, I was too busy trying to set up the Kinect camera, getting everything in focus for the doll room, and trying to get, everything set up with that round table. We had the dolls sitting on the chairs, and I was hoping to capture a stick figure or something walking in between. But, yeah, my mindset was on that. And while you guys were having the activity in the hallway, I'm just like, oh, okay, they got something going on over there. That's cool. I go, Paula, go see what they're doing. I'm going to finish this. I can't be in two places at once. It's impossible.
Well, there was one incident at Post Town. You remember when I was in the cubby hole, just kind of sitting there, as you were in the ghost or the doll room, I believe, all in kind of Indian style, just asking questions, and I was kind of out in the hallway by myself in the cubby. You remember that?
I don't remember you being in the cubby, but yeah, I remember us all sitting, Indian cross-legged on the floor.
Right. Well, there was a little, it looked like there could have been like a drinking fountain in this little inlet, and it was enough to where it had a desktop where I sat on it. It was just a little cubby that kind of a bump in of a wall. So I sat there, and as I sat there, you guys were asking questions, and I was getting bangs, direct responses from your questions in another room.
Oh, wow.
So you guys were saying something about, give us a knock or something to that effect, and I had my cell phone. I'm not sure it was live. And do you remember me saying it looked to be a bug that was flying? I kind of was following that bug.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, when you review it back, this bug that we'll still call a bug, it's kind of hard to. I don't know. I really don't know what to call it really, because it flew into a room, the room to my left, and it flew from that room through a wall into another room over. But it was still bug-like. It flew like a bug. It was kind of bouncing off the IR lights like a bug. But it was just kind of weird because when I went in that room, that wall there was a solid brick wall. So I don't know if it has this tunnel in the block to where it just knew exactly how to get to the other side. But it was in one room, and it flew right into the other room through a brick wall. So kind of puzzling there.
Huh. And, I mean, was it circular? Like a ball?
It was,
kind of?
Yeah, it was, and we won't say the big old word orb.
No.
But it was kind of like what we see about light reflections, the orbs, the dust, the bugs, a fly that'll send off that translucent type lighting to do with your IRs. It looked exactly like that, so I wrote it off instantly because it looked like a bug. It must have been a bug. So as, kind of an exciting thing to see if I can, follow this bug, it was really fast, so I would take the camera and I'd follow it through my camera lens and just to see if I can keep up with it. And I did. I kept right along with it. It was flying left to right, up and down, and it flew in that room and went right through the wall. I'm like, wow, that was kind of weird for it being a bug.
Yeah, we actually encountered something similar to that. It was at Ashmore Estates, and I was using the Seek. No, actually, no, it wasn't Seek. What was the name of that thermal I got from Robin Terry? You remember? Was it Razor? It was a Razor thermal camera that Robin Terry let me use. And we were up in, were we in the music room?
I know we were on the 3rd floor at one time.
I think it was the music room.
Was it the music room?
We were in the music room at Ashmore Estates, and I'm holding this Razer thermal, which actually had an external small LCD screen. So I'm kind of holding that, and I'm looking at the screen, and there's something similar to what you're talking about. It showed up, and it danced right in front of us. And then it started doing loop-de-loops and figure eights all right in front of us. And I kind of shined I kind of shined a flashlight at it, and there was nothing there. Turn the flashlight off, go back to the thermal, and there it is. I even walked up to it, and it kept getting closer and closer to the wall, and it would just stay there, and it would start dancing. So I went ahead and put the camera down, put the thermal down, and I'm looking all around, thinking maybe it's a spider web with a spider egg or something. Nothing. No spider web. No nothing. Go back to the thermal. It was gone. And I started looking around for it, and all of a sudden it came right back and started doing little figure eights and dancing around. I'm like, what the hell is that thing? And it went right through the wall and disappeared.
No, and we may never know, because that's things right there that it's beyond evidence review. You just have you have no idea even how to categorize that, and I've always thought to myself, when in doubt, throw it out as well. I had my doubts. It looked like a bug.
Right.
I can't explain the other things that it did, but how else do you explain something like that? A personal experience, something that can't be reviewed unless it happens over and over and over for double confirmation,
right.
Just to see if it was consistent. But I've never seen it happen again. So, unless I went to that exact same spot and it happened again, would give you more and more evidence to review. But I have nothing to go on.
Right.
Well, and that is something that eventually I think we're probably going to do. For instance, the Post Town situation, I'd like to go back there 3 or 4 times with regular equipment like we have now, and just see if it repeats. Now, if it repeats, it would be very unique to do some light and smoke testing and moisture testing and so forth to just see what elements are around that area and whether they can travel through, because you should be able to illuminate that. If it's a physical element, if it's a bug, a fly, dust, something reflecting that we can catch, then bam, there's your explanation. If it's not, and science has used every test it can, and it still remains unexplained, well, like it or not, it's paranormal.
Yeah. And on that note, we are at the middle of the show, so we're going to go ahead and take a break here, and we'll be right back with our guest, Joel Houston, that's awesome. Chris Houston and Joel Meyers. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How do you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and Shelter Pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open. Don't speak with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Paula Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon. Your journey begins now.
All right, welcome back to the Phantasmic Journey podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Kelly, and Paula Purcell is sitting next to me. Actually, she's Paula Kelly, so I guess we're not going to call her Paula Purcell anymore. She's going to be Paula Kelly. And joining us tonight is our guest, Chris Houston and Joel Meyers. Let's welcome our guests back to the show. How are you guys doing?
Good. Ready for some more.
Yeah, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's see, what should we talk about now? We've already talked about haters and experiences. What do you got up your sleeve, Paula?
History?
Go for it.
when you go to your locations, and this is something, because I know what I do, and I think Chris knows how well endowed I do this.
Okay, endowed is not a perfect word for you, dear.
Shut up.
Just saying.
Awesome.
How much do you focus on the history of a location before you walk into it?
Beforehand, when we first started, I went into locations, and I still like to do that from time to time, not wanting to know anything about the locations. But we took a reverse about 5.5 months ago to making it all about as opposed to the investigation. So recently we've spent more time looking into the history of the location and beyond the location about the surroundings as well, because if you can paint a large picture of the whole aspect, a lot of times you go a little bit more advanced than more people do. And I'm fascinated with the history of locations. I absolutely love it. I think history should be covered a lot more.
Okay. To extend on that, do you just do the history of the location itself, or do you go in more in depth of not? Because sometimes a building's haunted, but it's not because it's because of the building's haunted. It could be the grounds that it's sitting on. Do you ever go past that analogy?
Absolutely. We dig into the grounds. Joel and I have spent many, many conversations about going beyond that. Sometimes a location can be haunted but have absolutely nothing to do with the location and may come from miles away. There are situations. And the history itself of a town is amazing, because you might have a haunted location, but there are a lot of other locations in the town and the history of the town that perhaps maybe trickled into that location, if it makes sense. That had nothing to do with the location, but could have been something that was on the other side of the town.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Is there one background history that you have done at a location that stands out the most?
Joel, what do you think?
You know, something that comes to mind is, you know, we didn't do a whole lot of history search before we hit Octagon Hall. But as we were on site, we kind of dove into the history of Octagon Hall, and then we got to envision, you know, about what direction we think the soldiers were coming from, you know, kind of put ourselves back to the late 1800s when this occurred, you know, in the town down south, you know, south of Octagon Hall was completely burnt down. So would they have come up from the south and burned the town down first and then come and evaded Octagon Hall, or would they have come from the north and met with the Confederate soldiers, you know, took over base camp and then went on from Octagon Hall to destroy, you know, everything in town? So the history of that is kind of intriguing. We were kind of doing a hypothesis when it comes to that location, and it would be really neat to come up with an exact answer to our questions, whether they come from the north, whether they come from the south, east, or west. How did they invade? You know, what was their strategy? How did they take over? You know, were the Confederates completely dumbfounded when the Union showed up? Did they have scouts out that knew they were coming? Did they come back and warn them? How did that all play out? And you know, just to know the history of that, written in text and written in journals, and you know, each soldier's view on that night or that week, or you know, however long it took, the history of that would make everything, our questions, come together as one and kind of give us an idea how that all played out there at Octagon Hall. So that was a particular location that I really would love to dive into the history even more.
Now, didn't they use Octagon Hall as a hospital?
They did. You know, the Caldwells, they had slaves. They took in kind of the Confederates. They helped them out. You know, they helped with the wounds. You know, and when the Unions come and destroyed pretty much everything around them and took over the Confederate army, I'm sure they took over, you know, the slaves. I'm not sure how they took over the Caldwells, if the Caldwells kind of was open arms to the Union or didn't care if you're a Union or the Confederates. there's a whole lot of history there that needs to be dug up even more, and I'm sure that someone out there has the full-on history of kind of what happened that day or that night.
Well, that'll be a job for Paula if we go to the Octagon Hall, and we'll definitely bring you guys with us.
It's a phenomenal place. There's just something about that place that draws you in more and more.
Well, like I said, we had the opportunity 3 times, and we had to decline them each time.
4th time is a charm, Gavin. 4th time is a charm.
Yeah, I kind of thought 3rd time was a charm, and it wasn't.
Well, you're past 3rd time. Let's go to 4th time.
What, Chris?
That comes to my mind. There's another location that comes to my mind, too, and we're actually going to be building full aspect on this location. I'm going to be bringing in probably myself and many associates as well as possibly some other teams on this. But there's a campgrounds we've been looking at very deeply that has a history that dives into virtually everything. They have a abandoned set of cabins where people have committed suicide, so you're no longer allowed to be in there.
Oh, wow.
They have a well-known and documented UFO case that begun right beside the campgrounds. And there's also claims of Bigfoot and other things going on there. So it's a very historical site that we've really dug into. But what made us dig in is we decided to go there while we were on an investigation with somebody else because it's a cheap place to stay. Heck, we got a cabin for like $60 for the night.
Right.
It seated 18 people with air conditioning. And we found a location while Joel and I were doing an urban thing where we just found this nice little isolated area that had some gravestones in it.
Okay.
And we're still digging into that history to find out who these guys are. What I found was there was a home at the location before it became the park when it was founded as a historical area. And the original family that was there had a disaster that apparently destroyed the home.
Okay.
Now, whether the people died there or not is a whole other question. But, we're really we're going to go back there and do a whole series of documentaries on this place eventually because the history is so phenomenal and the mythology is so phenomenal that you could just dig in and do a whole show for at least 5 years on it, to be honest.
Right. Huh.
Chris, when we were there, wasn't it not even 30 days that we got a call from the park clerk there at the check-in that someone had just sighted a Bigfoot? Someone staying there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we got a call that a Bigfoot had been sighted there from a local resident. What makes it very unique is there's a geologist on staff and several other scientists on staff on a regular basis. And all of these guys are very excited about working with us. So I'm really looking forward to setting up a time where I can bring in a whole team and possibly even a few other people to document this and really get the ball rolling because it's an amazing place. It's a part of history. There are so many places that we as paranormal investigators, we like to go to Octagon Hall, Waverly, and all these other places and cover the history, but a lot of times what we forget is there are so many amazing places across these states that nobody ever dives into.
Yep.
That have a phenomenal history. And we're kind of concentrating on that. We're kind of going a little bit more urban a lot of times, a lot of unique locations to get a real feel for what the public hasn't seen yet.
Yeah.
That sounds like to me you might need to talk to Stephanie. She does all the urban legends in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, Stephanie Bingham? Yeah.
Yes. We went to her
speaking at Scarefest.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from her, and she has done a very thorough research of urban legends in the state of Kentucky, and she has got some tall tales. I don't want to call them tall tales.
They're interesting.
They're very interesting, and she's got a couple of them that she has dug in the history of them, and one of them kind of fascinates me I would love to personally just check out personally, and it's over in eastern Kentucky.
I hope it's not the head tree because it got burned down.
No, this is the one where they had the witch on the hill.
The who?
The witch up on the hill.
Oh, yeah.
The legend is, and the deal is, she went and personally checked it out, and she said the foundation of the house exactly exists there, and everything that she has been told by her grandparents and family members about this lady actually exists. So it was kind of interesting of the whole story, and that kind of, gives into the urban legend things, and sometimes would you stop?
Put the microphone up to your mouth.
I don't think I have a problem talking into it.
Well, you're like 50 feet away from it. Come on now.
And going off of the urban legends, Paula, is, there's got to be some truth, even if it's just a little bit of truth coming out of an urban legend. There's got to be something to find in every urban legend.
Oh, yeah.
Got to be a reason why the story came about. I got a question.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on Bigfoot and UFOs? Quit jumping around like a jackrabbit over there.
First?
Let's go with Joel.
Well, this is only my personal opinion. This is only me speaking, and when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm a very, very avid hunter. I love hunting is my passion.
Mm-hmm.
I've hunted since a small boy with my dad, and from 5 years old out in the woods hunting squirrels to 9 years old holding my own gun,
right?
Hunting for deer. So I've been in the woods all of my life. I've been South Ohio, Utah. I've been in the mountains of Utah. I've been a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very observant in the woods. I'm very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
As most hunters are, and they know to develop that sort of attitude in the woods because, deer can hear for miles, and we all know that we got to be quiet if you want to get a deer.
Right.
So, just all of these, and it's not just me. We're talking hundreds of thousands of hunters in so many territories across the U.S. alone.
Yep.
And is covering so many square miles. And we have not yet, to this day, come up with a set of bones, a set of DNA, a legitimate piece of Bigfoot to put in the books.
Yep.
We have sightings, and that is it. Do these things not die? Do they just not die? So I'm going to have to chalk that up as a big old question mark over Bigfoot. I can't deny it, and I can't accept it because of my woodsman background. I can't accept it right now, and I'm looking for someone to come up with something that would be really cool.
Right.
There's so many different species that hasn't been discovered yet. We discover new ones every day. It would be awesome to know the truth about it, but right now I've got to have that big old stamp of questionable.
Yeah, it's like the world's greatest hide-and-seek contestant.
Let's find the Easter egg.
Right.
Find the Easter egg. What?
Well, it is. It's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack.
Oh, Lord.
And, if you really think about the whole picture, though, all of paranormal, anything para is questionable. If you really think about it, we don't know exactly what ghosts are. We don't know exactly what Bigfoot is, if he exists. We don't know anything. We just have our evidence, our personal experiences, and our beliefs.
Right.
So if it's the only thing we can go on our own personal beliefs. The UFO thing, when it comes to UFOs, there's so many sightings. There's so many, people getting taken up in spaceships and worked on. And, major scientists across the U.S. have actually found pieces in bodies, that have held on to them for years that say there's not of this planet. We have evidence of that. And if God had created just the Earth, and we have so many solar systems in the universe out there, it's kind of almost mind-boggling to think that we are the only ones in the universe. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, I believe we're not the only ones, but I don't believe in UFOs until it lands in my backyard. Paula is over here. Okay, Chris.
Here's the thing that to reassert what Joel's saying a little bit. What do we have? We have personal experiences. What do we have? Well, if you do research into the paranormal, if you start from the beginning, and so the listeners know, there'll be a book coming out next year in 2019 that covers the whole history of the paranormal, from all the way up from the Fame game all the way down to the rise and fall. But if you look into the early paranormal, the real scientists, the real universities, the real International Paranormal Society, the real British Paranormal Society before they went public in media. If you look into these real sciences, you'll find a lot of what we're doing right now has already been answered.
Right.
So we got stale at one point. We're looking for the ghost, but we don't know what a ghost is.
Exactly.
We're looking for the responses, but we have no idea where the responses are coming from. So we're asking the wrong questions and looking in the wrong areas, because what we're asking now, what we're looking at now, that's already been answered. But we still have no idea what a ghost is, where it comes from, and so forth. As far as UFOs, knowing what I know and being where I've been and speaking to the people that I've spoken to, I can tell you a lot of the conspiracy, a lot of the things that are out there, a lot of the things that we think we know, we're wrong. What do we know? Well, we know a handful of things, and then a lot of mass assumption and other things have involved into that mix. When you finally start seeing this credible release of evidence that's going to come out, this disclosure that's coming out with everything, don't be surprised if what you hear and what you see is not what you expect. Because keep in mind, working many, many years with the United States government, one of the best things that we don't like to admit is the word, I don't know. Because it makes us look weak. A lot of what you're going to see is probably going to be, yes, we caught this. Yes, we saw this. Yes, something flew over here. Mm-hmm. What is it? I don't know.
Yep. Okay, and your take on Bigfoot?
My take on Bigfoot? Well, I don't like to destroy the concept of the Bigfoot community because they're wonderful people. I've spoken to many, many of them. I've seen a lot of different things out there, but here's the reality from a strictly scientific point of view. Right. I've never been a hunter in my life. I've spent a lot of time in the woods. I learned from a lot of Native Americans. There's some wonderful stories. Do I believe that somewhere along the line there was a different form of man that was existing alongside of us? Yes. Do I believe it's here now? No. What are we getting? Feet. We're getting claims of hair, but the hair doesn't match up to anything except for an existing animal now. Mm-hmm. We're getting dung that we find out is excuse the term, but crap from other animals.
Right.
We're really getting nothing to prove that there's something walking around in a civilized set of woods that people are attached to.
Right. Exactly. And then you got all those wonderful, I don't want to rag on it, but, there's these nice little shows out there, and it's like, darn, we didn't get them this time, but we'll hopefully get them next time. You know what I mean? Paula's over here dancing up and down, so she's got something to say.
Okay, on the analogy of Bigfoot, we have, they don't call him Bigfoot. They call him the Beast.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah. I had to go here because it's considered a legend, and it's in Kentucky.
Yeah, I know.
In an area called Land Between the Lakes, which is between the Kentucky Lake and the Barkley Lake, is several miles of land. And
woods,
land, whatever. It used to be towns.
Private?
No, it's public.
Public.
And they call it Land Between the Lakes.
You didn't get the joke.
I heard. And but it used to be towns a long time ago before 1937. And before 1937, when we had the big, huge flood, the State Department came in and said that we needed freshwater recreational areas because at the time transportation was very hard to come by, so people couldn't go off to Florida or California, Hawaii, or whatever at that time period as much as we can now. So they decided that they needed to have their own version of paradise. So the federal came in and bought all these little towns, and hundreds of people got displaced. Some of the towns got flooded. There is a town in the bottom of Kentucky Lake. Proceed forward. Back in 1974, there was a spotting of supposedly a beast, and the beast is supposed to be tracking inside the Land Between the Lakes the second and third weekend. Sometimes it's the second weekend, sometimes it's the third weekend of September. They actually have what they call the Festival of the Beast. Thousands of people come in, and they go on a hunting excursion into the Land Between the Lakes to catch the beast. There's even film crews that come in, following these avid hunters to catch their way of surprise. I just thought I'd let y'all know about that.
Going on a beast hunt. Gonna shoot Bambi. Wait, wrong song.
They can't shoot Bambi because you don't know what Bambi is.
Yeah. So, yeah, no.
On the UF excursion, I had a strange biology teacher in college.
On a what excursion?
On the UFO excursion.
Oh, okay, there you go. I don't know what you said before it.
As a UFO, you aren't listening very well.
I don't think it was UFO. I think it was UF.
Whatever.
Excursion.
Anyway, I had a strange biology teacher.
Don't we all?
And a strange chemistry teacher.
Don't we all?
Yeah, well...
They are crazy.
Well, God rest his soul, he's dead now. But he had an obsession.
He's in a UFO.
He had an obsession, and they gave you 20 extra points in his chemistry class if you came up with a theory on UFOs.
And how did you do?
I didn't write one. I said I don't even know how to begin on one of those. But it was so funny. You could get extra 5 points in his class if you would sign into his program. If you had a computer at home, he had a pinging system that he had designed to where you could ping to the outer space, and you hope something in the outer space would ping back. And if you signed up for the program, you got 5 points for your final.
I actually fell for that after I watched Independence Day and how they had that pinging system. I actually looked it up, and there is a real site that you can go to, and it's exactly like that. All it does is like ding, and it pings. And if anything, changes on it, then you'll actually hear it. That never happened. I watched that thing for months. Nothing happened.
Hey, but I got my 5 extra points on my final, though.
Yeah, I had some crazy physics teachers and biology teachers and chemistry teachers. Maybe they were aliens.
Well,
they were not right.
Well, my chemistry teacher did have funny-looking hair.
Well, what does that make a difference of?
Well, it's just the fact.
Well, so does Donald Trump. Maybe he's an alien.
I don't know. I mean, it kind of does blow off up in the air, and you can see the top there. It's where the solar panels are. I don't know.
We won't get into politics.
I think say my chemistry teacher was one of those. He had the hair that went all the way around, and he had those 3 little hairs that he just kind of tries to comb over.
Homer Simpson? You had Homer Simpson? Donuts.
Oh! All in all, I look at everything para, especially when it comes to kind of the urban exploration. Getting out there, get yourself out there in the woods, get outdoors. Even if you don't believe in Bigfoot, it gets your family outdoors. It gets yourself outdoors, and instead of staying inside and watch the TV and texting all the time. So I look at that as an adventure. I will never, ever, ever, and mark my words, I will never see a Bigfoot in my life, ever.
Right?
But I can tell you that I have had so many great stories to tell my kids about different locations I've been exploring or hiking, or up the side of a mountain that from Tehachapi, California, climbing the highest peaks at Tehachapi, to Kentucky hiking and Old Man's Caves in South Ohio. I have many stories to tell in good times.
Right.
And I don't need to see Bigfoot. If I do, make me a believer. But that gets you outdoors, and let's stop hanging out inside and doing nothing but watching TV and texting. Get outdoors.
Hell, what gets us outdoors if we want to go ahead and do some scouting around or do some excursions. That's what gets us outdoors. I mean, hell, we don't have a TV, so we don't watch TV. She'll just get this little hair up her butt, and it's like, you know what? I'm bored. Let's go somewhere. And we just load up the truck and go somewhere. I mean, we've gone to, let's see, there was a tunnel we went to. We went to Cave and Rock. Wow, that sounded weird. Cave and Rock in Illinois. And where else did we go?
We went to Hotel California. We did it.
Oh, yeah, we did Hotel California.
Yeah, I love LBL. LBL has remnants of the old towns. If you can find the GPS on the geocaching, people has left trail markers throughout there, and it's interesting what you can find on those trail markers. And we found in a concrete structure, they call it the Hotel California. It's basically the teen hangout on Saturday night.
And we also found Jesse James's safe that was blown apart off the old train robbery. It's still sitting out there in the field.
Yep, and it's got a date. Cool. Yeah, it's got a date of 1893 on it.
Yep. Heavy, can't pick it up.
Now, see, can you imagine that history? That's the things that fascinate me. That's the things that fascinate viewers. That's the things that fascinate the world. Getting out there, enjoying yourself, showing those experiences, talking about those. Working with the general public, talking about their local experiences. Those are all things that make interesting shows.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Everybody's stories, and you bring their stories out to play so other people can actually witness it.
Don't forget about the fairy hunt.
Right.
Oh.
Did you say fairy hunt?
Yes, there is a couple of people I know that actually go seeking fairies, and they have actually wrote an analogy, and I have to if you want to look into this is hilarious at the same time, but this
good Lord.
Oh, yeah. And the deal is, and I understand their concept. Do I believe in them? No. Do I have figurines of fairies in my house? Yes. But
you're a Tinkerbell freak.
But the concept is that I like their focus on this, and it kind of gets you back into, everybody has their beliefs and, certain things in certain areas. And the one story that was given to me kind of gets you to thinking, but it can't be reality, but it still opens your mind to, okay, that's a possibility. That's kind of an answer, but I need a little more to go on it.
It's a firefly.
Right.
Yeah, but the firefly is blue.
Maybe.
Remember the story? The lady, she said it was the little lights were blue and the lights were pink. They were not the colors of fireflies.
Yeah, I know. That was Stephanie. Stephanie's story about fairies.
Close to Cincinnati
now
area
I guess
somewhere.
Our next Urban's going to be on fairies.
Yeah, it's
one of her stories.
It's in your neck of the woods. It's near Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, the story is close to Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a.
So I got to look up Cincinnati fairies.
Yeah. Oh! You might get the wrong kind of fairies.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of. Don't use Google and don't use images.
We have some very unusual urban legends up here. Now I've heard of the fairy hunt. We have the frogman.
Frogman.
Melonhead.
Well, you got the Mothman.
Are you just making shit up?
Yeah. No, this
that's
is all up here in Ohio.
We're actually going to go digging into the Melonhead somewhere along the line. It's a whole story about some altered children with experiments that just kind of got left alone as the doctor left, and they've been running around in the woods ever since, and they eat and kill people. It's a whole myth, but it's still kind of fun to look into. The frogman has been a myth out here for years. There have been people that have claimed they've seen a man with a frog-like face and shape that have been in the pond and around the local areas. It scares the crap out of people. We have some unique legends.
Ribbit.
So we've got the Mothman and the Goatman.
Yeah. Well, I can just imagine the melon one. It kind of reminds, like what you just said. They wind up killing people in the wood. Well, hell, that kind of reminds me of Cabin in the Woods.
Right?
Well, it's actually so famous. It's been brought to other states from time to time. The X-Files has done a piece on it. Supernatural's done a piece on it briefly, all based off of this legend.
Oh, wow. I can't wait for Supernatural to come back. They should be coming back this month. It's going to be awesome.
Don't say anything about it. I'm only on season 6, and I am hooked.
6? Dude, you know what season they're on?
I just started it.
Oh my God, they're starting 14.
I know. I love that show.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that's probably going to freak you out. No. Chris already knows. Paula and I are going to be going to Austin to hang out with Jared and Jensen next year.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We're in Texas?
Yeah, Austin, Texas. We're going to Jared's the Family Business Brewery, and that's where we're going to meet up with them.
Cool.
Sweet.
So we've been invited out there to go hang out. So we're gonna go to dinner with Jared and Jensen and their wives. So that's gonna be a blast.
Well, Dean just got back from hell not too long ago, and it's getting really good.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome. Wait a minute, how far are you, Paula? I bet you he's farther than you.
I don't watch it.
But you were watching. You're the one that got me into it.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons of it going, hey, you want to watch something interesting?
Oh, God, you suck.
So I showed him one of the episodes, and there's only a couple of episodes that I really, really like of Supernatural. You're the Supernatural buff. I'm not.
Oh, hell yeah, I am. I'm friends with the whole damn cast.
So you'll get the joke when I tell you that me and Chris have this little jingle.
Oh, no.
You remember the ghost chasers?
Ghost Facers. Yeah. Ghost Facers.
Ghost Facers. Yeah.
Ghost Facers.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Chris have a little jingle before we go on the last couple hunts. What was it, Chris? What was we saying?
I can't even remember now.
Well, I guess you've seen them.
It's so funny because I believe that once you're into paranormal and you become an investigator and you watch that show, there are like little innuendos to that show that makes you chuckle so much because kind of they're making fun of the paranormal field. Am I right?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's kind of an inside joke that only an investigator may get. I'm not sure the public would get too much unless they're really into the TV shows.
Right.
You know, the ghost racers or whatever you want to call them is kind of a joke within the paranormal field of the professionalism of a team and, you know, how they, you know, don't come in here. It's only professionals. We're professionals.
Right,
you know,
right.
They're kind of making fun of the field a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of funny.
Well, when I first talked to Jensen, I went ahead and told him what we are, and he's like, "Oh God, ghost facers." I said, "No, dude, we're the real deal."
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because that particular episode I relate with incredibly, knowing that I've researched and been with the paranormal and spent time in universities and spent time speaking to cultures. And then when I first got out, and I still do this from time to time, Joel's seen this with a few people, and some of the people I've been with I still love. Not paranormal journeys, just so you guys know, but I've been out with some teams, and I've watched how they operate, and you just kind of, it's that head slap moment, like they make fun of there, where you just kind of want to jump in and go, "Are you stupid?"
Oh, I know. She's holding me back, but I know one. We all know one.
Everybody knows one.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes you got to, you know, you got to be the better man.
Oh yeah.
And they can either give it or take. You know, take your advice and learn from mistakes.
That didn't happen.
Fall into that category of, I know everything. I'm the professional. I'm the ghost racers
Facer
team. You know, what is it called?
Ghost Facer with an F.
Facers, yeah.
Ghost Facers.
That's it.
You
Ghost Facers.
Yeah, there you go. A Ghost Facers right on the side of their van.
I don't think there's any advice in the world you can give certain teams that are is going to be taken. You know, I feel like I'm invading a lot of investigators when I go on, we'll call it filmings. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm invading the things that they do every day, whether it be wrong or right or however they do it.
Yeah.
I just feel sometimes some teams or certain individuals can't be
in the field.
Educated. I just call it educated.
Yeah.
And I am not well educated. I am still new at this. I catch on a little bit more than others because I have a personal experience I've had dealt with for years, and I have a business sense, you know. And I know it sounds a little crazy when it comes to business
right.
sense, you know. The business is believing, you know, and researching, and you know, I apply myself as I would a business.
Right.
You know, when I want to learn something the right way, and I want to learn something to make money at, I've had many businesses in the past 15 years. You have to learn. Mm-hmm. You have to learn every aspect of the field that you're in order to become, and I won't say professional, I won't say expert, to be well educated. You have to be well educated in the field you're in, and some folks skip that step to become well educated. And I just kind of want to, it's kind of a hobby thing for people that they don't need to be educated. It's fun and it's exciting. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like they can't acknowledge that that's all it is just a hobby.
Yeah, and they can't comprehend anything like when you have an electrical engineer telling you different things about audio and noise floors and gates and contamination and things like that, and they just basically brush it under the rug because they feel that they know more than you do, even though that you're well versed in this type of study, not just paranormal, but I'm talking about in audio engineer. So you know the ins and outs of audio engineering. And, you know, to have someone basically not even take your knowledge and, you know, store it or use it, just basically throw it to the wayside like, you don't know what he's talking about. That's just a pain in the butt.
And I've learned a long time ago. It's been a good, I think 9.
Hang on.
Is that Chris talking?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. That's the thing that's faltering the paranormal society, to be frankly honest with you. There's constant combatants calling people the techie group, calling people the non-experts, calling people there are no professionals. And here's a newsflash that I have ticked off a lot of people about, and I've had a lot of arguments about, but here's the reality of things, guys. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I've sat down with many, many professionals. When somebody has a degree and 20 years over my belt,
right,
and they talk over my head, I listen to them. And do you know why I listen to them? Because they're probably right.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And there are many, many professionals that are out there. No, we can't all be experts, because the bottom line is you have to learn from each individual person. But when you're walking in front of somebody that has a degree, is a college professor, has been doing something for 30 or 40 years in one particular area, you're almost naive to not listen to that person, because what you're doing is making yourself stupid. And that's blunt. I know that people get angry when they hear that. But the bottom line is, like any profession, the paranormal is the same. You don't go walking into a quantum physicist or a physicist's room if you don't know anything about physics and tell him he's wrong. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. Well, on the other flip side is, you know, you got someone that has a PhD, and we'll just say, I don't know, I guess we'll say physics or whatever. You know, they have a PhD in that, but I don't feel that, you know, since they've got into the paranormal, even though they have a PhD in physics, it does not make them a professional in the paranormal. They're basically a student in the paranormal. And the way I see it, if someone has 20 years, I wouldn't call them a professional. I would call them a seasoned investigator. And the ones like us, we're newbies.
But you're wrong, because they are professionals. Now, are they a professional in the paranormal field? What people are doing is letting egos get in the way. That quantum physicist knows about physics. He does not know about the rest of it.
Right.
So your job, knowing something about the other field, is to work with that physicist. Working together as a team to solve the situation makes both people educated. A physicist will look at you and say specific things. A quantum physicist, if they're doing their job right, will try to fill in those gaps. For instance, you're out in the field and you're trying to figure out what this is. A quantum physicist would come back, if he's doing his job right and his ego's not getting in the way, and try to explain how it could work from a quantum physics field. And those are the keys that we're looking for. We're going beyond listening to a ghost speaking. We're trying to figure out what a ghost is. Why are these people speaking to us? Why did I get a Class A EVP? Logically speaking, when we were walking up the stairs and got what Joel and I got, it should not have happened.
Right.
So where's it coming from? Is it still intelligence? Is it something beyond this? Is it an echo from another dimension or a time? Those are the things that people don't understand. They get stuck on the ego of going, there is no. Well, the reality is there is. There's thousands of professionals out there. There's thousands of people that know more than me. The problem is we have to work together. Now, you are right about one thing, the word study. Paranormal science is a study, and everybody is involved in that, whether you know very little or whether you know a lot. It's how you work together to understand each other that makes it work. The reason we're not collecting the data and finding the answers and we're stuck on the same answer for over 40 years is because people are stuck on the ego rather than the science and the study involved. That's
true.
Kind of the bottom line that I express all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, that's the reason why we, in 2020, we're basically calling it quits, because we're just tired of all the drama, all of the egos, all of the backstabbing, all the lying, the two-facedness. I mean, it's just pathetic. I mean, just this whole field has turned nothing. I mean, it just turned into a competitive field. Everybody is constantly competing. Everybody's competing to be the first person to get on a show. Everyone's competing to get the best evidence, the best photo, the best EVP. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's not a competition. Everybody investigates their own way. So they have their own methodologies on how they go ahead and do an investigation. So there is no reason to be competitive. And this whole thing that's been blowing up with...
There's no reason to think that you're better than the other individual. You know what? Whether you've been in it for 7 months, 5 years, or 23 years, you know what? Being out with you guys for 3 to 4 investigations, I learned a dozen things I didn't even think of before.
Oh.
If I would have went into that closed-minded, if I would have went into that thinking I know everything, I wouldn't have learned. And excuse the term when I say this. I know it's my radio station. I probably shouldn't, but I wouldn't have learned a damn thing. So every time I go out, I try to learn something from somebody, because odds are, just like in sales, marketing, and the world itself, you're going to have experience somewhere that I have never even thought about. No matter how many years I've studied somewhere, you're going to teach me something new, as long as my mind is open to it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we try to do different things and think outside of the box, because, we don't want to be doing the exact same crap as everybody else out there. So we want to come up with our own ideas, a better way to get activity or to build something up or ramp something. Always think outside of the box, which is a perfect thing. And believe it or not, Paula loves to do that. She has done that numerous times, and she's been commended on it, on different occasions. But some people actually think it's stupid to do something like that. But I don't see why it'd be stupid.
Thinking outside the box is what should be doing. And I don't need to be putting my input in as much experience as I've had in the field, but I do know that I have to put my smarts in. And thinking outside the box is kind of putting your smarts in as, okay, everybody's been doing the same thing over and over.
Yep.
We've been getting the same kind of evidence. Let's get some different evidence with some different results. We went as far as a science test not too long ago, and me being a fresh mind of this may be a little bit of a positive on my side, because I thought, on a conversation on the way to, it could have been Waverly to meet up with you guys, or OSR, come up with the dog whistle. The dog whistle cannot be heard by most human ears. Some can. Empaths can sometimes hear a dog whistle, but most likely you're not going to hear a dog whistle.
Right.
So that's at a different frequency, not heard by the human ear. EVP, most of the time, unless you get a Class A, is not heard by the human ear. It's picked up through manipulation or somehow through a recorder.
Right.
So I wanted to know if a dog whistle, being that we cannot hear that with a human ear, can be picked up through an EVP recorder. We did a test numerous times through EVP, let the dog whistle off, and it come back that the EVP recorder does not pick up a dog whistle. So that leaves us to almost say that the theory of manipulation is more likely than a frequency. It's like manipulating electronic wavelengths rather than the actual frequency itself. So science tests like that need to be done over and over, and compiling evidence within each individual team coming together to see what the actual end result is. And we actually found an end result the first time, as the dog whistle does not pick up on an EVP recorder. So then let's go even further is let's look at manipulation. How are they manipulating electronic wavelengths? How are they doing it? How are they using? At what frequency are they comfortable with using or manipulating? We need to look at more outside the box with these things.
Right.
Each scientific test like this done furthers us down the road for the end result.
And we're actually doing that with light testing now. Spectrums of light, different flashes, different angles, laser lights at the same time, to see not just whether something can break a laser grid, but to see if the spectrums of light can affect the situation. Maybe it'll fail, maybe it won't, but you never until you actually try each individual scientific test, work together rather than argue over egos, and collect that data involved. If every paranormal team in America joined together and shared their data into one database, now I know this is not going to happen right now, but I want people to think about this. If you were to put those egos aside and share your evidence without concern that you're not going to get the next big TV show, without looking at the fact that you're going to get the big hit, the golden ticket, if you were to put all of that together like the real scientific community does, can you imagine the breakthroughs that you could have? Those questions that we should be asking right now, we're not asking because we're stuck in a cycle.
Right.
If we were to start asking those questions like scientists do, what if this works? What if this works? Let's try this. Oops, it failed. Okay, let's go on to the next one and collect that data. Somewhere along the line, you're going to get the answer. What is a ghost?
Right.
And then you're going to have to figure out from that point the next question. How do we really get in contact with them? Can we see them? Are we able to get to their level? Can we go to their level without death?
Right.
Is this actually somebody passing on, or is it somebody from the past or the future? Those are all things we're avoiding because we're stuck in a cycle.
Right. Now, the thing about the dog whistle, that usually operates in the range of 20 to 54 kilohertz. Whenever we get EVPs on our digital recorder, it's actually recording in 19 to 20 kilohertz.
Right.
So that noise floor right there
on that
allows us to actually record EVPs. And that's way beyond human hearing.
There's another test done by elephants. They wanted to know how elephants communicated. Elephants send off a very low-pitched sound that we can't hear with the human ear, so they come up with a device to record an elephant and them talking with one another. So rather than us just using a dog whistle, we need to use an elephant communication device. We need to use different devices scientifically to come up with the frequencies that possibly an entity may use. And it may have a small breakthrough if we all work together and compile evidence to different animal talk. Dolphins can communicate through radar type communication. We need to come up with different ways of communication to figure out exactly what EVP is and at what frequency it's often used.
That's kind of like the space recording the sound of Earth.
Oh, yeah, that stuff's crazy. Have you heard the sounds for Jupiter? That is eerie as hell. My question is, how the hell are they recording it?
Oh, see, that's science. They have so many billions of dollars at their fingertips.
Oh, I know.
They can all put this. It's so many smart scientists out there coming up with different ways to record Jupiter.
I know.
If
that's just weird.
We can all have a scientist under our belt with that much money to put into the field, we would come up with different ways to communicate with the other side.
Yeah. Well, supposedly
the reason
supposed to be
the reason we're lacking that is because we're not communicating together. The science community has 2 or 3 different types of communities, but they all come together in order to get the funding, in order to work together, and in order to come up to these logical conclusions. We want to hang on the word because of spirituality, that we believe there's another side, but the only way to find out if there's another side, in fact, is to delve into that science and work together. Now, you're going to find out a dozen different times when you do these testings, things that you don't want to hear. You're going to find out, I didn't find out that. I found a logical solution. I found out that this can be explained. But you're also going to open up other doors that allow you to keep advancing. The moment you start doing that as a community, the funding starts to come in, the people start to get interested, the doors start to open. But we haven't got that far. We got stale. So a lot of people in the community that are the elders, so to speak, that started on that route, they just gave up. They're doing their own little things. They're getting their own little funding, and you never hear from them anymore because we have a vast community of growing people that want to believe dust is an orb.
Yeah, say that to Keith Age and see what happens. All right, guys. Well, we're at the end of the show, and I'm going to give you each an opportunity to go ahead and tell the listeners where they can find more information about you, what your website is, what are some of the projects you're currently working on, and, of course, for Joel, tell everybody, more information about the Ghost site. We already know that you're still working on the website, and that should be up hopefully soon. But I'm going to let Chris go first, and then when Chris is done, I'll let you go, Joe.
Well, I'll start with Generation Truth, just so that everybody knows Generation Truth is still alive. We are still kicking. We are reviewing for the next 3 to 4 months a lot of videos so that we can put together some short pieces and some documentaries. We just got finished with the world's largest ghost hunt. Of course, we're going to be concentrating on them, and we've got a few other projects on the sideline during that period in time. We're also going to be reaching out to a lot of people for personal interviews so that we can add on to the documentaries and the pieces we're about to bring in. We are working on an actual physical series called Haunted Excursions. Haunted Excursions is going to cover a lot of different things, and we're going to have some sub-pieces to boost on that. Paranormal Truth and Reality can be heard on BBS Radio every Friday at 8 p.m. We have special guests from all across the world that come in, from the famous to the local, to talk about a lot of different things. So make sure that you tune into that. You can find me on Facebook. You can find Generation Truth on Facebook. We are also working very, very avidly, I guess you could say, on some technical stuff that I'll hand over to Joel here in a little while. And we have a new radio station, which you're listening to actually tonight, and it'll be rebroadcast at WCGT Radio Live. We're going to have a lot of our people that are working with Generation Truth that are going to host shows through there. We're going to have a lot of unique guests as well, so I encourage you to listen to that. And I'm going to hand it over to Joel now so we can talk about his stuff.
And well, I guess you covered pretty much everything that I was going to cover, except for, the whole WCGT. I will have a tech talk coming on soon. Along with everything else I'm coming up with on the Invention side of things. The website will be coming online at ghostsite.com.
Awesome.
And usually when I tell folks about the equipment that I invent, I usually do a little pause and I tell them I invent things that does not work in the field. They pause and they get really big-eyed, and they was like, what do you mean you invent things that do not work in the field? I said, well, if it doesn't work in the field or it has no human interaction and it works in the field, you've got something, almost like a double confirmation. So I tend to focus on things that takes a lot of energy from the other side to actually make movement. I've got something with a ghost spinner. Yes, you heard it. It's a fidget spinner. When it comes to movement in the field, it takes a lot of energy with like EM pumps to help energize the other side. And when they move that physical spinner and it sends off a light beacon, something has just moved that with a lot of energy. It should not work in the field, and it will not work in the field unless it's paranormal. That's pretty much what I've been focused on when it comes to my inventions, is physical movement, double confirmation type inventions. It should not work in the field.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out.
I'll send you one.
Cool.
Maybe in the next 6 months. I know you've been wanting some pieces.
I'm still waiting on the Watchtower. We wanted to use that one over at the Massachusetts County Courthouse and Jail that we're going to be hitting. We're going to start kicking off season 4 toward the end of this month. So I'm excited about that.
I've got something very, very special on coming up with the Watchtower. It's something I won't get in too deep with it now because it's something that's going to be worldwide.
Okay.
The Watchtower will be pretty much seen across the world when it happens. It's in the prototype stages now. It's been a good 8 months. As you know, you've been asking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very anal when it comes to perfection, and this thing has got to be perfected even before the prototype stages gets out there in the hands of folks like yourself.
Right.
I've got to perfect it on my end first.
Of course.
So when it's 100 perfected by my side and it's 100 perfected by your side, you're going to see this in a worldwide type environment. I will only go that far, but it's something very, very cool that the Watchtower is going to be able to do in the future. It's very, very awesome. Stay tuned for that, and I'm sure Gavin, Paula, you guys are going to be seeing your unit coming on soon as I get over this analness that I have with my prototype. You will have one, probably number 2 of many.
Awesome.
We'll be coming at you, and I need you to work that in the field and let me know the negatives and the pros and the cons that you feel needs to be changed or something that's completely perfect about it. You will see one.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Of course, you could always invite us over to your to one of your locations, and we drag it over there, so that way you have it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that too. So
right.
I want to thank both of you guys for being on our show tonight. We truly enjoyed it and had a blast, and you already gave out all your information. Just a good thing. So hopefully we'll be talking more in the future about Ghost Site. I'm pretty sure we will be. And,
right.
You'll have a lot of people hopefully be contacting you as well. I will put some links into the chat as soon as we get off of here. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, it sounds phenomenal what you're doing. It sounds really cool. And, I mean, you're on the right path. So I haven't seen anything like what you have been doing, so that is a plus in your favor.
Well, I thank you very much for that, Gavin. Thank you, Paula, for being on with us. I've enjoyed talking with you as well. Hope to see you both soon in the future on an investigation. Let's rock this out.
Go
ahead. He said... Have what?
I don't know. I'm hot.
You're supposed to have headphones on. You can hear what he was actually saying.
I can hear him. It's that loud through the thingy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, he was basically saying, bye, Paula.
Bye, Joe.
Oh, dear God.
Sorry, we have no air conditioning in this living room at this moment, so we're kind of like dying.
I'm fine. See, we're on air, so we can be walking around in a Snuggie and flip-flops, so who cares? Get that image out of your head.
Oh, I got it right there in the skull.
All right, you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. We'll definitely have you guys back on the show. Sooner or later. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So,
thanks for having us.
Hey, not a problem. I'll talk to y'all later.
Good night.
Yep, appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
Okay. Good night. All right, well, there you go. We had 2 special guests tonight. It was Joel Meyers, the designer and creator of the Ghost Site and their camera rigs and for GoPro rigs. They're really phenomenal. They're durable. We've got 2 of them. We use them extensively at our locations, and I mean, they truly rock. So you might want to go to his Facebook page and check it out. It's Ghost Sites. And, of course, we got done talking to Chris Houston, who is the operator and owner of Paranormal Truth and Reality, or as I call PTAR. And, of course, he is the founder of Generation Truth. And he is a cinematographer, director, and a producer, also a radio show host. And as he stated earlier, he's talking about WCGT, which is his radio station. Soon going to be going to iHeartRadio, probably within 90 days or so. And right now, I am currently having a sister radio station underneath, or more like umbrellaed under his station. And my station is actually the hottest country music station that airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. And you can check that out. My station is WGKC, Today's Hot Country. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and we should have some really cool guests on our next show next Wednesday, so stay tuned.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Philip Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.